To text me. He don't do nothing to me now. He like, bro, fuck
Dude,
you.
dude.
What? We're live now.
Oh, I hate you, Freddie.
I love you too.
Going on. We are here for the fast break. We got the Lakers game getting ready to end up. So hopefully y'all are tuning into that. I'll give y'all some updates. Russ looks like he may have just committed an offensive foul or another turnover, maybe a block. I'm not sure. So we are going to keep track of that. But we got some great stuff. But first, we want to introduce everybody. Freddie, how you doing tonight?
I'm here. I'm just glad to be here with you guys and ready to talk some sports.
Man, don't talk to me.
All right, hear that. Mike, how you doing?
I was doing swell, and then Freddie started to swear in the middle, 3 seconds into a live broadcast. So I don't know, bro. I'm feeling some type of way because they're trying to censor my cues, Ray. But 3 seconds in, and we're acting up. It's pretty fucked up if you ask me. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
But Ray, I want to interject. Mine was not live. His was just live.
It was live.
You want to bet money on it?
Yes, I'll bet. You know what? But last time we bet
can
money.
pull the tape.
Really quick, Ray. Chris Robinson knows. Last time we bet money on
next topic.
Suns went to the finals, and I still haven't seen my $25. But
oh
hey,
man, Freddie don't live up to his bets.
Oh, I don't, Chris?
No, you don't.
Oh man,
what bet have I done with you, Chris, that I didn't live up to?
But what about
Did
mine?
you ever change your profile picture, bro?
Yeah, I moved it to Taysom Hill. Yeah.
Nah, that wasn't mine.
Oh yeah, see, Chris. Here's what happens, Ray. This is what happens. See, we catch them up, and then the audio starts coming out, and then the internet starts going out. That's what it is at the end of the day.
What tape? What picture?
Ask Dylan. You know what? On an unrelated story, Freddie, we're related.
What? An unrelated story. We're related. That's a
yeah.
So you didn't get family money, bro?
You didn't get family money, man.
That's crazy, bro.
So?
Gotta pay back your folks, man. Gotta pay back your folks.
Would never be me, bro. Trifling.
My uncle by marriage is your granddad's brother.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this outside outside.
Yeah, definitely.
We got some family on this show.
Yeah,
man, I'm rich, bro. I'm related to George Foreman.
Oh man. And Jonathan, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
What's going on, man? I'm feeling good, man. I don't know what we gonna do with Freddie here, man, but I'm doing good tonight. How are you guys?
Doing swell.
Good. Freddie, appreciate you not load managing like LeBron tonight. So it's great to have you.
I love managing.
And Chris, what we got going on tonight?
Oh man, Mr. Bonds, I'm gonna let you take it.
Okay, cool. We're glad to have everybody. We're finishing up here this Lakers game. They've battled all the way back, but it looks like they might end up coming up just a little short. Fellas, with that being said, it's been a crazy year. A lot of teams have been dealing with a lot of different things. Mike, your Bulls have been ransacked. The Bucks and other teams have been ransacked with COVID and everything else. But if you show up, you got to play.
Right.
So right now, I want to post this to you guys. Based on what y'all have seen this year with everything going on, who's y'all coach of the year? We'll start with Chris.
I think it has to go to Taylor Jenkins with the Memphis Grizzlies. I'll give you a second, Mike. I mean, I think we agree on like my number 2 person, but I mean, last week I said Ja's MVP, and Ray, you brought up a good point. Ja's missed some games, and Memphis still did great without Ja, and that's all on coaching. That's a young team, and you can tell them boys are hungry. That's his play set. He got them focused. So yeah, I gotta go with Taylor Jenkins.
Wow. It sounds like we got some disagreement. Somebody want to retort that?
I understand Taylor Jenkins is a great option because,
but it's Frank Vogel. No.
But let's not sit up and act like what JB Bickerstaff is doing in Cleveland is a slouch. going into the season, we expected Memphis to be a good team in the West. We expected that. Coming off what we saw last year, how they ended that season going against Steph, how deep that team is. We didn't expect this Cleveland Cavaliers team to be where they at right now. We didn't. And if you say you have, you smoking. As a matter of fact, I might not be the one to have COVID. You might have be the one to have COVID.
I
I
don't think
mean,
that's how COVID works.
so let's not sit up there and I mean, act like this Cleveland Cavaliers team
Right.
would be nobody in the season had this team a playoff or a play-in team. Nobody. But what this team has done to be third in the Eastern Conference, third when you have a Brooklyn Nets, when you have a Chicago Bulls, when you have a Milwaukee Bucks, when you have a Miami Heat in that conference, nobody expected that. So it has to go to JB Bickerstaff. And that's hands down.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll take that. I don't think either is really wrong, but y'all are wrong. And there's a really obvious answer, but I'll go in a second. Jonathan, who you got for Coach of the Year so far?
Man, I got Taylor Jenkins too, man. I mean, you look at what this Memphis team has done. It's well crafted. I mean, they've played tremendous basketball under Jenkins, and this is a young team that has put it all together. You talk about the explosiveness of Ja Morant. I mean, you can also credit Jenkins for the development of some of these young players as well. And this team has really taken off. Now, I know Jenkins is in a crowded field. You have other guys that is, that who deserves consideration. You talk about Billy Donovan, Steve Kerr, JB Bickerstaff, Monty Williams. I mean, there's other names on the list, but the guy that stands out to me the most is Taylor Jenkins with what he's done with this Memphis team. This Memphis team is playing with a lot of confidence. They're playing with a great sense of urgency. They're playing collective basketball. They're playing together as a team, and he has this team pointing in the right direction. So I like what Taylor Jenkins and this Memphis team has been able to do so far early on.
Okay. So we got two for Memphis and Taylor Jenkins. Chris, what you got? I have a feeling I know where you might go, but we'll see what you do.
Chris went.
I already went. I was first.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's Mike. What you got?
Mike's going Billy Donovan. There you go.
He won't. He's biased. He's unbiased.
No, I'm not saying that because Billy Donovan's my number 2.
Right. And for me, my biggest thing right now is Billy, Freddie, don't say nah, because the Bulls, without Zach LaVine, without Lonzo Ball, without DeMar DeRozan, without Vooch, without every single mug on that team, is still in second place right now. You can say what you want. We're the big dogs. We're the big dogs. And you could say what you want, but he's done it with nothing. He's done it with a lot of guys who were on the COVID list. He's done it with guys who are injured now. Billy Donovan's won Coach of the Year before, so literally 2 years ago. So I don't know why we're sitting here having a conversation like he can't. Billy's great. Billy does everything amazing. Billy does everything well. But Taylor Jenkins is mine right now. I think Taylor Jenkins is doing something that no one's done in a very long time, and that's when you look at this Memphis offense. They are ranked number 1 or number 2 in every single category. They do not rank third anywhere, or fourth, or so on and so forth. But they are a star to be reckoned with. They are a star power. They are a powerhouse, and what they're doing right now without Ja. For part of it, they're doing it without Dylan Brooks, who was their number 2 to start the season. The way they've infiltrated what they're doing right now with Steven Adams and Ja Morant's connection, I feel like is beautiful. Everything they're doing over there. Shout out to my boy Randy. I think he's really helping persuade me into what's going on, because he kind of gives me that insight that the media won't. Jim and Daniel as well. They kind of give you a real rundown of the entire team rather than just what you want to hear. Like you hear the media talk about it all the time. Dylan Brooks is so effective for Memphis. Dylan Brooks is this, Dylan Brooks is that. But at the end of the day, Dylan Brooks hasn't really been playing. And that's just the reality of it. And when you really look at it, the guys that are stepping up, that's coaching. That's on coaching. So I'll give it to Taylor at number 1, but Freddie, you're tweaking if you don't have Billy Donovan at number 2, because what he's doing with that depleted Bulls roster right now that's been going on all season, I don't want to hear it, because Frank Vogel ain't done that.
Did I have Frank Vogel in my conversation?
I'm just saying you haven't
So
seen it.
that part's invalid. So try again.
I didn't. I'm
I
gonna
just
try.
think it's comical. I just think it's comical. Going in the season, everybody had Memphis going way further than the Cleveland Cavaliers. But we don't want to give this brother, JB Bickerstaff, his props and what he deserved to having teams like this to be the coach of the year conversation. That's flat out disrespectful. Flat out disrespectful.
Was Memphis supposed to be where they're at, though? Memphis was supposed to be a play-in team. Let's be honest.
Hold on. We expected Memphis to be a play-in or a playoff team. We expected that. Nobody expected the Cavs. When we went over our teams at the beginning of the season, nobody on this network said the Cleveland Cavaliers was even a playoff team. And that's facts.
But the Bulls are better than the Cavs. Memphis is better than the Cavs. So how am I
exactly?
But they're better teams. They're better, much better talent.
My point, though, Mike. This Bulls team had players on this roster that we all knew they would find a way.
Don't do that because DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine weren't going to be able to play well together, right? But that's on coaching, right? That make them play well together. Because that was Ray, yes or no? Ray, yes or no? That was the narrative in the offseason was DeMar was a horrible pickup and then it wasn't going to work out and now he's an MVP.
That was the narrative.
That's true. Like that they were the same player.
I no matter the narrative, nobody had Cleveland in the playoffs or the play-in. Nobody. At least your team was brought up to be in the play-in. At least they're in the playoffs. Same with Memphis. Nobody thought about that by Cleveland. But they're the freaking third seed.
And they're tired of the Bulls.
Seed, and that has a lot to do with coaching. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know, bro. I just think you have to look at it from the team overall more than just the stats. I think you hit it on the head, Freddie. You made it clear. You said Milwaukee's been getting ran through. KD is gone. Kyrie's part-time. The Bulls got depleted. There's all these things going around right now in the East to where, the Wizards fell off. I'm not saying they don't deserve this credit. They definitely deserve this credit, but we're only looking at it. It's not even all-star break yet. So I have to look at it for what the whole picture is. And the entire team of Memphis is 10 times better and 10 times more constructed than Cleveland. And Cleveland's got some young dogs. They have good players. Kevin Love's playing great. Lauri Markkanen's playing great. You had Rubio, you had Sexton, you have Garland, you have Allen and
Darius Garland
and the other cat.
Well.
They're all playing great. You have
quick question for everybody that picked Memphis. Do you guys think that Memphis is so good because of the coaching? Or is it just that we as fans and analysts weren't aware of how good of the talent that they had? Are they overperforming or did we just underestimate how good they actually were? And a lot of their players are taking an extra step.
I think it's a combination of both because Jenkins has built a strong culture and he has also been able to adapt his style to the players he has. So what that tells me is that this team had a lot of talent as well.
Right.
And, he has just come in and he has changed the culture so much that they bought into what he, has done so far, and it has paid off tremendously for this Memphis team. So I think it's a combination of both, if you ask me, Ray.
Okay. And so do you think when other teams early in the season have seen Cleveland and seen Memphis on the schedule, did they bring the same fire that they bring to a team like the Lakers or the Nets? Or do you think they thought of them as the Grizzlies and the Cavs, and maybe that could also be
No, not at all.
We saw the Lakers do the exact same thing when they played against Memphis. They were in the very early on in the season. They were treating it like it was nothing. Jim Cross, who's on the network, was there and can attest. Everyone was messing around during shoot around, just kind of laughing, making jokes, while Memphis was taking it a lot more serious because they knew what they were. They knew what they had the chance and possibility to do. I feel like that's instilled by coaching. Freddie, you can say what it is. We had a guy who was physically there to tell us. He has the video evidence of LeBron and Russ laughing on the sideline, just messing around during shoot around while Ja's putting in work.
Well, Russ does that every game. Like if you watch Russ, he does that every game.
And
okay, and you wonder why you're at now.
But speaking of Russ,
he's always sitting down, dancing, smiling, laughing, doing all that. So
I don't know why.
That has been his thing. So remember, that's why we know.
It is, Chris. But here's the thing: I never seen that from Bron. I ain't never seen that from Bron. So your leader right there already is taking this team. Like
The first year we won the championship, you must didn't watch what they did before the game. Mike.
oh, your little
they was
Disney,
literally playing
little
football
Disney
on
bubble
the basketball
championship.
field.
Your little Mickey Mouse.
They was literally playing football before the game, bro. Like,
I love your little Mickey Mouse trophy.
Oh hell yeah! The Grizzlies.
You can say what you want to say. That championship's a championship.
Absolutely.
The Bulls would have won. You wouldn't say that, so I can care less.
Mickey Mouse.
But to that point, Russ had the ball. He had a fierce comeback. I don't know if you guys are watching, but it looks like they're going to come up a little bit short. It was a 2-point game. He shot a 3-pointer, which why Russ shot a 3-pointer, no one really knows because he's not good at it. He did have 30 in the second half. So that's the most by a Laker since Kobe's last game.
How many shots did it take for him to get that 30?
Charlotte won 117, 114 Charlotte.
It really doesn't matter because the Lakers lost at the end of the day. So
They
it
did.
doesn't matter how many points he put up.
And how many shots did he take to get that?
Right.
The second half, I think he was 11 of 19. So he was a lot more efficient in the second half. But
all
at
he
the end of
does
the
is
day,
back up shots and hope he makes them. That's really all he does.
settling for it wasn't a good shot. But Mike,
You know
having got
something,
the kids,
Of course not.
I'm mad at Jonathan. You know what I mean? Yo, stop dogging on the Lakers, man. They're gonna be there at the end, for real. I love you, my man, but they're gonna be there.
They're gonna be where?
coming through.
They're gonna
Chris,
be
you already know how I am. I'm gonna keep it real.
They're gonna be on their couch. LeBron's gonna be on his Hollywood Hills couch watching.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I keep it real. I'm telling you, end of the year, watch. Who wants to play the Lakers in a 7-game series?
Right now.
When they're healthy.
Golden State,
healthy.
Golden State, Phoenix.
I know I could beat them.
Bulls beat them twice already, so.
And you guys got to remember too, these guys are older. A lot of these teams that's playing now, that's balling, they're young. They're a bunch of young guys.
Yeah, they ain't keeping up with Memphis. They're not keeping up with them boys up and down the court.
Carmelo gonna break his hip in game 4.
Especially by the time the playoffs come.
In a 7-game series.
In the playoffs, it's more of a half-court game. It's not one up and down. It's a half-court game in the playoffs, yo.
Nah, Lakers, nah.
Yeah. It's
So
more
you still,
half-court.
you still gonna trust Russ as your primary decision maker in the playoffs?
No.
Ron's gonna take the ball out.
Primary
No.
decision maker.
They might bench Russ at the end of some of these playoff games if they get in.
Exactly.
gonna have to.
Playoffs is half court, not full court, run and gun. It's half court precision.
You
Tell
bench
y'all.
your superstars. What does that do for morale?
What?
He's gonna have to tuck it. Bron and him, they'll get to him. He already has been humbled. They already benched him. So
And I told you,
Frank Vogel gotta go. He's been analyzed under the microscope right now. He has
Frank
to go.
Vogel is not the problem.
You know what? Freddie brought up a
He's
good
part
point.
of the
on the
problem.
Vogel thing.
I'm pointing the fingers at everybody. I'm pointing the fingers at upper management. I'm pointing fingers at the coaching staff.
boy,
I'm pointing fingers at the players.
The water boy,
The water
cheerleader.
boy.
It's just every
The mop
strength
up
and conditioning
guy.
coach.
I'm pointing fingers at everybody.
that stupid
Fellas.
stadium name.
Jonathan and Chris, let me tell you something real quick.
Security guards in the rim.
It's not even the all-star break. It's not even the all-star break, and y'all going crazy. I'm telling y'all, it don't matter how you start, it's how you finish. I'm telling y'all, the bronze window is closing. I'm telling y'all.
So Con man, we didn't hear from you yet. For your coach of the year, you saying Vogel's coach of the year then?
Ooh. No. No.
So who
I'm
you
not
got?
saying that, yo. I'm not saying that.
So who you got? Who's your coach of the year?
Who's your guy?
I'm gonna tell you something, and it's kind of like a personal thing because I know the coach's father real well, so I'm going with my man from Cleveland. I'm rolling with him.
Okay. We've heard
His dad and me, we became good friends, and he's doing a hell of a job with Cleveland. How bad has they been for years? And now they're young, they're talented, they got spunk, and he has taken that team to heights I never expected. Did you all? I doubt it.
No, they did not.
Don't speak for me.
You know
But
the
we
thing
expect
about
the
the
Memphis
East, though,
Grizzlies team to be good. We expect
kind
the
of worries
Chicago
about?
Bulls team to be good, but not Cleveland Cavaliers.
But
We
we,
had
you know, like
Cleveland
think
and
about
the
like a couple of
Bulls
weeks
in the
ago.
play-in.
What's
But
that,
we
Mike?
had the Chicago Bulls not
Chris
even
Robinson.
making it.
Chris Robinson, you were on Fast Break with me when we first started Fast Break. They
Okay.
had Cleveland and the Chicago Bulls in the play-in. And
We
look
didn't have Cleveland in
no,
the
no, no,
play-in.
no, no. You didn't have them.
No, nobody did. Pull the footage.
Don't do
Nate,
that.
pull the
Don't do
footage.
that. Pull it up
Nobody
then.
did.
Pull it up then. Because we talked about how
Nobody did.
young that core was. We're going to sit here and hey, Mike, I just want you to know he's doing a great job. He's a great coach. But we're not going to sit up here and act like we didn't know that those young cats they have aren't dogs. Evan Mobley, Allen, Garland, Sexton, they're good players.
You can have dogs, Mike, but nobody
Why,
expected
you didn't know
team to
that?
be
You didn't know that for real. You didn't know
We
that.
didn't know that.
We
No,
all
you didn't.
How?
No,
They're
Chris,
proven.
you didn't. Chris, don't sit up here and tell that story that you had this team number 3 in the East.
No, I didn't say that.
Come
I
on,
didn't say they
y'all.
were number three.
Keep it real.
Not you, not Mike,
it
not
real,
Jonathan,
y'all.
not
Keep
No
it
one's
real.
saying
none
they
of
were
y'all.
number 3, but we knew they had a good young nucleus and they weren't too far away. Everyone knew it.
Too
And if
far away,
Kevin
but
Love-
nobody said it will
We
be
didn't see Kevin
this
Love playing like
year.
this. I didn't see
Right.
that, but we
That's
did
what
say
I'm
it's that
saying.
young core.
If Kevin Love could have stayed healthy, then we would have been able to say more about him, and we could have been able to say, okay, they have a good leader, they have a good direction going, but no one saw that coming. And now they've succeeded. They're doing great.
Okay, at the beginning of the year, where'd you have them at?
I had them at 10 for playing.
No, you didn't.
Okay. And where are they now?
They're 3, and that's fine. But guess what? I had
My
my
point
Bulls.
exactly.
I had my Bulls at 4, and they're at 2. So anybody can pick
But
and
Yeah,
choose
your
who
Bulls
they
team
want.
is expected to do good things.
No,
You
they
have
were not
the talent
expected,
that
bro.
you have on that roster.
No, don't do that.
Wait, what'd you say,
Like,
Freddie? What did he say?
he said they have a bunch of talent on that
Your,
roster.
that
but-
team is
but
expected to do good.
Before it was what though, Freddie? What was it? It was DeMar and Zach can't play well together, and DeMar is washed and old. It was Lonzo has a horrible shot. It was Vooch is over 30 years old, and Zach LaVine's not proven. So that and well, here's my favorite one, Chris. Alex Caruso's nothing without LeBron. That was my favorite one. That was my favorite
Well,
one.
I'm not going there. I'm not touching. No, I'm not going there.
I don't know, Mike. I think
But-
some of your takes might have been impartial. Like, I feel like most people enjoyed Caruso. They thought he was a great fit going in. That was a big loss to the Lakers, was what I heard. As far as Levine, I feel like Levine took steps last year, even on
He
his own,
definitely
where
did.
people
it
were
was the
saying,
Bradley Beal conversation to where it's
We're-
like,
we're
I
big
need
up
you
in
to
him.
do it again. You know what I mean?
Okay. And I'm not in Chicago, but I had pretty high expectations for Chicago, me personally. Even with Vucevic, I thought he was a really good fit.
Right.
It sucked when Williams went down because I like him a lot
Yes.
too.
Mhm.
But I think the team, and I've heard nobody talk about them at all. And it's really interesting to see because I think it's just, I don't know if it's business as usual, but a team that has had a lot of issues and had a huge issue with one player. Coming into this year, people were talking about Tyler Hero being a bust, as if he was.
Oh, here we go. Here we
last year
go.
was
I
awful.
love it. Here we go.
Jimmy Butler missed a lot of time early on. The team, they shouldn't have been in the finals when they made it. It was a fluke because it was the bubble. And right now they're sitting in the 1 seed in the East.
I love it.
And I think they play great basketball on both ends. Jimmy's been a facilitator, which I don't think most people envisioned. And they got a bunch of guys that Max Strauss and others that most people haven't even heard of or really seen that are playing really well. And I don't think Eric Spoelstra's getting enough credit for what he's been able to do down in Miami, especially when you look at other franchises and teams that LeBron has left and how long it took them to get back. Miami didn't fall off a cliff without LeBron. They were able to rebuild once they finally got Bosch's deal really off the book, so to speak. And I think that Eric Spoelstra should be getting a lot more credit. I definitely think Memphis is the flavor of the month for what they've done. And it's great. But I will be very curious to see as we get down into stretch mode, how they continue to perform. If they can keep up this trend, because they're playing great.
Right.
But Ja's playing a good amount of minutes. He's taking a lot of shots, and that typically doesn't bode well. So I'll be very curious to see kind of how they continue to go about it. They've been playing great. I think right now they would get it just because of what he's doing. But I definitely think that Miami and Eric Spoelstra is not getting enough credit for what they're doing. And I'm very impressed by what I've seen them continue to do night in and night out regardless of who's on the floor for me.
Family, I agree with you 100%. Miami, you better watch out for Miami. They're a great bench. They got everything. They truly don't have any weaknesses that I see. Watch out
for Miami. I agree with you. Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. But going into the season, we was talking. We had questions. Will Miami be the best team in the East? After that offseason they had. Nobody talked about Cleveland. Nobody.
And that's
nobody.
Fine. That doesn't
mean go pull up the tape where somebody said it was a top 10 team. Pull it up.
Nobody. Yeah, it happened.
Number 3 seed in the East.
Freddie, by that same measure, how many people said that the Knicks would be not even in contention for the play-in, nor would the Hawks? So, I 100% agree with you that Cleveland is overperformed
this year,
but
right?
Boston is 25-25. Toronto's 23-23. So there's a bunch of teams that, quote-unquote, are underperforming. So, yes, Cleveland has looked great, but nobody thought Indiana would be trying to ship off everybody. Like, they had to go and sign Lance Stevenson, and they're still pretty trash.
That's right. True that.
That's not the problem. Right.
My point is there's a bunch of preseason polls.
Hold on.
There was a bunch of preseason polls that were wrong. Who thought Portland would be as bad as they are?
Right. Hold on.
Nobody saw CJ missing a
We knew Cleveland was going to be there because they had dogs. No, we didn't know that because they had dogs. We've seen a lot of young teams who had dogs. Matter of fact, with the Laker young core, we always knew Ingram was a dog. We always knew Lonzo was. We knew Kuzma was. But guess what? They didn't do jack squat. But guess what? Coaching mattered. What JB Bickerstaff brought in, he brought a culture in there. These guys play tough defense. These guys get at it on both ends of the court. Nobody had this team a top 3 seed in the East. Nobody.
I would like to say, though, Freddie, you got to kind of keep that same energy, though. When LeBron was healthy in 2018, they were a playoff team. They were in contention to be a playoff team, but LeBron got hurt and LeBron went down. Lonzo went down. A lot of things happened.
I agree, but what happened? They didn't make it.
That's what I'm saying. But here's what I'm trying to tell you, though, is right now, dude in Cleveland is doing his business. But this has not been a consistent thing. They were the 11th seed 3 weeks ago.
That was exactly my point about in the East. I mean, look. 2 weeks ago, wasn't
Memphis
Washington up there?
And look where they at now.
But what I'm telling you is, look how fast it can change in another 3 weeks. Memphis has remained consistent at the top all year long. Their numbers speak volumes, what they're doing. Like, Freddie, I'm literally sitting here telling you, you can fact check me. And every offensive point, they are first or second. There is not one place where they are third or anything below that. They are first or second in every offensive category in the league. They are killing it. They are doing their thing. Right now, Cleveland's on a great stretch, and what they're doing is amazing. And I'm not going to sit here and stand here and lie to you and say that Billy Donovan hasn't been doing the same thing. But at the end of the day, it all comes to a point to where it's not always the most consistent. There's games where they lose to horrible teams. There's games where they beat Milwaukee. There's games where they beat the Bulls. There's games where they do great things. But there's games where they get caught slipping. Memphis doesn't get caught slipping at all. And that's where it's different. And just because your team that you're picking, I hear you, and you're right. He brought a team that from Cleveland, no one expected to be good, but just because you did that doesn't mean you're out coaching another coach.
Well, me personally, my opinion, this team is doing something that we did not expect.
For sure, bro.
We expect Chicago to be where they're at. We expect Memphis to be where they're at. I didn't expect this team to be where they're at. That's why I got JB Big.
Right. No, yeah, and I hear that. I completely agree with you, and it's a great pick. I'm just saying you can't take away from what Memphis is doing just because there was an expectation. Frank Vogel had an expectation, and he hasn't met it. So we have to keep that same energy.
I don't know why Frank Vogel's part of the conversation. Nobody said Frank Vogel.
It's kind of early to say that. It's kind of early, huh? It's kind of
early to say that about Vogel. Isn't it kind of early to say that about Cleveland, that they're good?
No, because
good point.
You guys are saying this early. I know we're not at the All-Star break. We are over, I think, halfway through the season at this point. So
that's what I'm saying. If we're saying
Ray, you can't nobody. No, Ray.
If we're saying it's too early,
it's getting late early for a lot of these teams.
Because we can't judge this Lakers team until they come in the postseason. Let's be honest.
No.
Why we got to keep moving the finish line for the Lakers?
Right.
You know why?
Like originally, okay, Christmas Day. Now it's All-Star break. Now you just at the playoffs. I mean, at what point is it time?
Because Freddie doesn't want to accept.
Man.
All
right, so real quick,
Chris.
Freddie, I'll ask you this,
Chris
and then we got to move on. Right now, I believe the Lakers would have to play either the Clippers or the Timberwolves if they won their play-in game. Because I think it's 7 plays 10 and 8 plays 9, right?
Right.
Yes.
So right now, today, if the Lakers had to go to Minnesota, do you think they would beat them in a play-in game?
Of course.
1 game elimination?
Of course.
Right, yeah.
And it's like how are we looking at it, Ray? Like AD, Russ, and Bron are all there or no?
Yeah, everybody's there.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
So we're doing healthy teams, like
healthy
Cat's
teams
good,
by then.
D'Lo's good.
This is all I got.
I'll say this, and I'm not trying to be biased here. Like I love what they're doing out in Minnesota, but they're very top heavy. They don't have a bench, and I feel like that's where Carmelo, that's where Kendrick, that's where Monk are all gonna thrive. I love if it was 5-on-5, I'm gonna take Minnesota, but if it's an entire roster, I gotta take LA.
I think y'all.
Cool.
This is what I'm talking about.
I'll go with that.
Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns are getting better and better game by game.
No doubt.
Russell.
Yeah.
Right, but that's my thing. I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about that bench.
But at the end of the game, I trust Minnesota at the end of the game right now more than I trust LA because if Russ touches the ball, you don't know what's going to happen.
For sure.
Ray, you're wrong, bro. Why? What? Ray, really?
Hey,
I do.
Can I ask Chris a question, please?
That's been the problem with the Lakers, is Russell.
Can I ask Chris a question?
Do you think he's going to handle the ball in the playoffs as much as he does now?
If he's on the court, he's going to have to. Why else you got him on the court? He
Yeah.
can't shoot.
He ain't gonna be open for a shot.
Yeah, he's gonna be open. You don't want him shooting if you're the Lakers.
He's not about to defend.
And with LeBron playing at such a high level right now, by the time the playoffs come, he's going to be fatigued and worn down. So Russell Westbrook's
Can I
going to have
ask Chris
to
Robinson a question, please? Hey, Chris.
My man Chris.
Freddie, answer the question. God.
How many times have we seen this big three play together this year?
Here we go with
I
that.
know a handful of times.
Okay. That's why I say it's still time. Everybody's healthy now.
It's not
Now
time.
let's
That's
let
my
them
point,
play
Freddie, that's my
together.
point.
Let them
It's
build some
getting late.
chemistry together, and let's see what we can put
You're
together.
running out of time,
I'm
Freddie.
with you, Freddie. I'm with you.
They
How
gonna
many
need
more
that
games
All-Star
we
break,
got?
and they
I
better
think we
all
got
come back
10
healthy
games
from
to
that
the
All-Star
playoffs.
break.
No.
Because if they don't come back healthy from that All-Star break, they're not going to get time to play together,
No,
and
I
they need
never-
to play together.
Here's my thing, Ray. I never did a show with Michael before, so I'd love Michael's take on it because I have not been able to speak this. I've spoken it to Freddie, and I've gotten some BS answers. I've spoken it to Jonathan.
Thank you.
And Jonathan gives me real answers. Now, here's my thing. I'm not a Russ hater. I love Russ. I love everything about Russ. I love AD. I just hate AD's body. I love LeBron. I love everything about
body.
LeBron. Nah, I love Bron. I hate AD.
What's that Kawhi body? You hate Kawhi body.
I hate Kawhi, but that's a whole different conversation. But my biggest thing right now, Michael, and I want to ask you now, the big three itself, you'd say you believe in them, right? At some point when they finally get that chemistry together.
Yes.
What are you going to do about Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk, and all those other guys on the bench that combine 10 points together? Because they're my problem. They're my
First of all, Kendrick Nunn has not played the game yet. So why are you putting him in that?
But you know what I mean? Like, that's what Kendrick does. Kendrick's whole
When
career.
their bench plays, they typically give up leads or leads get bigger. I think is the point.
And the thing with Kendrick, everyone wants to say Kendrick Nunn's going to be a big part of it. I grew up with Kendrick in Chicago. Kendrick's a dog. Kendrick can walk to any export, any rec center, and he'll drop 40 on anybody. But I'm going to be real about my guy and Talon. They're second-round picks for a reason. They're just not consistent enough to be able to do that.
They might be traded.
And that's the problem. Right there. That's the problem right there. Is no one's going to give anything for them because of what they are.
They should have traded Taylor over the summer. His value has plummeted since.
Talon was supposed to be the Kuzma move to me. I think you should have kept Kuzma and traded Talon, if anything.
But when Kuzma was there, they were saying trade him too.
Right. It's always trade everybody.
He did not come up under the pressure. Everybody can't deal with pressure.
No one gave
or they weren't put in position to be successful.
You give that kid 3 shots a game, 3 shots a game, and ask him to call game. That's crazy to me.
Montrezl Harrell wasn't even utilized right.
Chris, we did this against Phoenix. We had the same conversation. Kyle Kuzma had 3 touches, 3 shots, and they asked him to call game. You didn't give him any moment to get heated up. You didn't give him any opportunities to get going. And you asked this kid to call game? Bron needs to be better. Bron needs to call game.
No, it was many times where Kuzma,
you want to take 20 shots a game,
he was missing shots. So let's not sit up here and say, oh, Kyle Kuzma, what is he doing this year?
Now, what's the problem with Kyle?
We just talked about this earlier this week, Freddie. He has career highs in quite a few stats.
Yep.
He's playing well.
He's surprising a lot of people in Washington.
And he's playing much better on the defensive end. That you don't really have stats for that. Kyle Kuzma has been the second or third best player in Washington this year.
Right, but guess what? When he was the number 2, number 3 option in LA before we got LeBron,
he was never the number 2, number 3 option.
He was doing that. He was doing those things.
He was never the number 2, number 3 option.
And there were games.
He was, Mike. What are you talking about?
Who are you talking about? Who?
Kyle Kuzma, before LeBron came, this dude was a 2.
Before LeBron came, for the one season
in his rookie year.
It was 2 actually. It wasn't 1. It was 2. But
okay.
What I'm saying is, this man did not live up to expectation because he could not play under Anthony Davis, under LeBron James. He could not find his role because he was not a
what young player can
for the pressure, just like Russell.
What young player can?
You know why Tyler Hero comes off the bench, right?
Because Austin Reeves. We've seen Austin Reeves out of Caruso play.
That's not it at all. You know why he comes off the bench, right? It's because
they got rid of Caruso. He was so
good. Look
at
Austin Reeves, an undrafted player this year.
That's crazy.
What did he do? What did he do tonight? What did he do tonight?
Was LeBron playing tonight?
Excuse
me. What has he done with LeBron?
Hey, Westbrook got 35 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Westbrook, wow.
He had 5 in the first half, 30 in the second, which is great. And he shot the 3 and he bricked it, and they lost the game.
So this is my last thing on this. I'm gonna be done with it because hey, right at this point in time, the Lakers going to have to show y'all better than telling y'all because y'all already set.
I don't know where this confidence is coming from.
If we get Anthony Davis that we got last night with 30-plus points, 12 rebounds, him and LeBron can figure it out. Nobody's beating that.
So you're going to have that guy getting 30 with LeBron and Russ? Okay. Sounds like a lot of shots to go around for everybody else.
It's crazy. Right. It's like building a house but no foundation. So when Anthony Davis builds the house back up and then falls again because he gets hurt, everyone's going to be shocked that this house fell down.
Let's keep the same energy. We talk about Kawhi Leonard. We talk about another player that can't
stay healthy. No one talks about Kawhi Leonard.
No one's talking about Kawhi Leonard.
No one talks about Kawhi when he talks about becoming injured. Nobody.
No, because
he's not damn energy.
He's not relevant.
Exactly.
You okay, my brother? Johnson, you okay?
Ready.
Are you good?
Chris, I have a question for you. And I believe we talked about this off mic. So we saw that recently in Washington that the Wizards got jobbed. There was a 3-pointer by Kennard that went in on a 4-point play that they should have called based on the last 2-minute report that said it should not have been a shooting foul. But what's done is done. What is your thoughts on the 2-minute report, and should the NBA be putting that out?
Please, y'all talk first because I'm gonna be heated about this one. Y'all talk first because I got it.
Mike, go first. Mike, you go ahead. Get it off your chest.
You don't want me to go first, fellas. I'm a referee. You don't want me to go first. No. Go ahead. Your hand.
Give us a different perspective.
Comment. Go ahead.
As being a referee, and I refed at the elite of the elite, and you tell me you're going to check every 2 minutes within a 2-minute frame whether a call was made or not. You're taking the human element out. As a referee, that pisses me off for real because most referees do a damn good job. And fellas, you don't know. Do you realize that after every game, there's a videotape of them and every call is scrutinized? So the 2-minute thing is the human element. I'm a referee now. I still referee quite a bit of games. And that 2-minute thing is BS. I want to swear, but I can't. BS because it's not right. It takes the human element out the game, and I disagree with it.
Right. I'll say this. I do
100%
think,
agree with him.
as someone who played, and Mike, you seem like an amazing guy. I always find
Thank you.
I always find my way to be arguing with refs, but I don't think I would give Mike a hard time. I think Mike's a great person. So I will say this. I like the same concept of the NFL. I don't like it in the MLB because the MLB is kind of the same concept, but I don't think you should be able to review every single call throughout the final 2 minutes. That takes too much time. That's not it. But you cannot have a situation like that. I do feel like there should be one play everyone can have to where you can say, I need to review that. I need to be able to call this. And it goes to New York or it goes wherever it needs to go. And they can have a conversation about it. But it's just the same concept as the NFL. The only way it's a conversation is if New York gets on the phone and says, we are going to review this. I don't think you should just be able to throw your hands up and be like, I need that reviewed, because that wastes time.
Exactly.
But the big dogs in the NBA think that needs to be reviewed, and they get a phone call on there and they say, is this reviewable? And they say yes. I think you should. But not every 5 seconds do I need someone reviewing something.
Yeah.
Fellas, my best friend.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
For y'all. You're saying that basically we know we screwed up and just deal with it because there's human error in the game.
No, but that's what the 2-minute report comes out and says, though. Like they said, okay, that shouldn't have been a foul call. Washington, they don't get their L back.
Right. That's where Chris and I are coming from. Is like plays like that. You get New York or you get whoever's on the phone to review it, and they'll turn it over. But you can't have a player be able to say, I need New York to review this. It's going to take 5 minutes. That shouldn't be allowed. What should be allowed is a coach or whoever can get on the phone and say, is this reviewable? And if they think it's reviewable, then you can have that conversation and we'll be real about it. But you shouldn't be able to do every single play, every single 5 seconds, because this is no shot at LeBron James. But I know damn well guys like that, smart guys like LeBron James, are going to take advantage of that rule and are going to be reviewing every single play they can, because as he should, because he's going to try to get that extra basket. But if it's not reviewable, New York can shut it down immediately.
All right, folks, I got to tell you something that you all need to know. 3,000 referees are looked at every year. It's broken down to 300 referees who then go to the G League or the WNBA and whatever. They are scrutinized to the point where, which you guys don't know, because I know my best friend was an NBA ref, so I was there. I was in the mix. And they are scrutinized to the point where every play is watched. The NBA referees, in my opinion, y'all might disagree because I'm a referee, they bust their behind.
They do.
To make the right call. And sometimes they don't, but it's human nature. Why are you going to do 2 minutes? Why not do it 8 minutes? Why not 10? Why not 15? Why 2 minutes? If it's not an actual mess up, major, let it go. Let the referees do their damn job.
Right.
So if they comment to that point, so when they mess up, they screw it up. Do you believe the report should come out and we should know that they screwed it up?
No, I don't want to know. Like at that point, all it does is piss you off.
Right.
Like I'm not a Washington fan. They should have been in that situation to begin with. But like, what does that report do?
It does.
Right.
Well, you know something, fellas? There's 3 referees on the court. They got 2 referees on the sidelines of a goal. Check it out. And if they mess it up, it's because they were not in the proper position. And if they're not in the proper position, they will get checked.
Right, but
they
we
will
still
get
lost
checked.
the game.
Now, good point. But my point being, because I'm a referee, if in fact it was a judgment call, how you going to deny that? And if they were in the proper position, talk to me now.
Right.
So my thing is this.
Y'all quiet now, huh?
No. So my thing is this though. Like I agree, kind of. I think with Mike and Chris. If you see it and it can be fixed, fix it. I can't tell you how many times, as someone that whether it's gambling on basketball or whatever, where I'm obviously invested, especially at the end of the game.
Of course.
And I see fouls happen that don't get called. And then the player loses the ball out of bounds. And now the only thing that's reviewable is, did it go off of said player? But they don't review the fact that he got fouled and that's why he lost the ball. Like stuff like that needs to be fixed. And I feel like if we're looking at the stat sheet of the NBA players at the end of the game, if we're going to critique coaches for bad decisions that they make, I don't believe refs are above that. So no, Chris, you're 100% right. It does not change anything about what happened. But if I'm a coach of a team and based on a call on the court, I make a decision later down the line because I say, well, this player didn't perform well in this position. But really, it was a ref error that led to it. That could completely change my game plan on which player should or shouldn't be on the court, who should or shouldn't be taking the shot, who should or shouldn't have the ball. And if I don't know that they were actually wrong, I could potentially blow that and not put somebody in or punish somebody or trade somebody or cut somebody, and they shouldn't have been. So I feel like the same transparency that we get when we can look at a stat sheet, we can look at the play-by-play to see who made what boneheaded error. Giannis just shot an air ball. I think refs should be held to that same standard, and that is what they are paid to do. Like,
and they are held to that standard, is my point. And check this out, fellas. You got 10 players, fantastic athletes, phenomenal athletes. You got to watch 10 players, and everybody's trying to get an advantage. The referees have a hard job. I'm telling y'all, it is very difficult to referee an NBA game because you got 10 fantastic athletes who are moving 6'9", 6'10", 250. It is almost impossible because if you really want to know the truth, because I'm old school, every play is a foul. Every damn play, someone's banging. Because I'm a referee, I know I'm leaning towards them, but I know refereeing is a hard job. You're not.
We're not taking that away from them at all.
Right.
But it's also a job where
I think playing in the NBA is a hard job too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get $1 million. Referees don't get that.
That's.
But the referee, like what Ray just said, though, the referee, one wrong decision could cost somebody that millions of dollars.
Yeah, you got a point.
As it stands right now, the Wizards are tied for the play-in, and a game they maybe should have won.
Say it with your chest.
Like that one game, based on how tight the East is, could be a huge game. The spot between first and eighth is like 8 games. So you could be you go on a slight slide, you could be on your way out the play-in. And granted, you shouldn't have been in that position. And I'm going to kind of die on this hill a little bit because I'm a Washington fan. You should not have been in that position. No, but the fact that you were in the position, you still should have won that game. That should have been take the ball out and kind of do something else. But before we get out of here, I do want to kind of open it up because we did have, I guess, a memorial. I don't know if you want to call it an anniversary. I don't know what you want to call it. But this past week, we dealt with 2 years since Kobe's passing. And I'll kind of start. And Kobe for me was like, I just had a son born 3 weeks ago, and his name's Kobe. Because
awesome.
That's awesome. What was that influential and important to me? Like that, it was a non-discussion. Like my wife already knew, like, don't fight me on this. I've been a Kobe fan all my life. I've celebrated the ups and the downs. Like he's been huge for me as a person. The Mamba mentality. We see it all throughout the NBA.
That's great.
For me, seeing someone battle and fight all his career to come from being traded, on draft night, to shooting air balls to start his career, to walking off with a 60-point comeback. Like that's kind of the epitome of who he is. And for me, it was a tough situation. I'm not gonna really go through that day for me, but it's something that is still hard. My wife bought me a couple books after the fact. I think I traveled somewhere and there was a magazine. So I have a bunch of like memorabilia, but I still haven't been able to really get through any of it. Like it's something I try not to face because it becomes real. And I know there's a memorial where the helicopter went down, which I did see that. And I saw a bunch of posts, but I told the guys kind of off camera, like, I avoided it. I haven't brought myself to really deal with that. Obviously, I know it happened, but it's just, it sucks. There was nobody that has died in my lifetime that had that big of an impact on my life. So that's kind of my Kobe story, but I did want to give everybody a chance to kind of tell their own Kobe story, whether it be more upbeat and positive or what have you. But we'll start with Freddie and kind of go through the fellas.
Wow.
You're mute, Freddie.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Freddie.
That's not a bad thing, but for this moment.
I love it.
All right, Mike, we'll come back to Freddie until I think he might be frozen.
I think you good now, Freddie? I saw him move. I saw him twitch. You saw him twitch?
He always twitching. He's always twitching. He's always twitching.
Can you hear me?
Changing his background.
Yeah, you're good, bro.
Man, it's hard, bro. I remember 2 years ago, I was at CC's Pizza with had like a little lunch meeting, with some people, and one of my buddies texted me. He said, "Hey, did you hear about Kobe?" And I said, "Yeah, I already know LeBron passed him on the scorers. I already know." He's like, "No, he's dead." No, bro. Like I said, bro, you don't play like that, And he's like, "No, for real." So I went to Google, looking it up, and I'm seeing all this, and I still didn't believe it, when ESPN gave the alert. And, bro, right then and there, I left. I told him, I said, I can't continue the meeting or anything like that. My whole demeanor changed. My whole mindset changed. I was literally sad, man. Like, it felt like a family member, somebody I knew all my life have died. Kobe was the reason why I started watching basketball. Kobe's my favorite player. Seeing him, what he did on the court was spectacular. Hey, it is what it is. But off the court, man, when he retired, he opened up a life that was so beautiful. What he did for his daughter, him and his daughter's going to do for the WNBA, they was going to take it to the next level. And shout out to the families, other families that lost loved ones as well on that helicopter. But man, when you thought about Kobe, you thought about that Mamba mentality. Somebody, this is just hard to describe him because the man was just he was the type. If he said he's going to beat you, and anything that he did, he was going to find a way. And it was going to be very interesting what was the next phase of his life. Because we just seen this man win an Oscar. We seen what he's doing in businesses. And I really, Gigi, man, that really hurts, man. Because my dude Mike, he always talk about the WNBA, Candace Parker and them. But I really think Gigi was going to take it to the next level. Yeah. I think he was going to help her get there. And I always let a story he tell. When he's walking down the street and somebody say, "Hey, I don't you wish you had a son to follow in your footsteps?" And where she'd come around and say, he don't need a son. He got me. That's why he got me. But prayers to his wife, Vanessa, and the kids. Prayers for everybody that's close to him and his family. Because there's never a day that you go by without thinking of Kobe. You look around, there's another day. He's being celebrated or he's being recognized. So his name will never die. But
yeah. Wow. That was great, Freddie, man. Awesome. That was great.
Mike, what you got for us?
Oh man.
Which Mike?
I'm ready to
Mike, comment. Let Mike Hughes go.
All right, good.
All right. Like being from Chicago, everyone's Michael Jordan. But I missed that. I'm 21, going on 22. I was born in 2000. So my first three-peat that I ever saw was Kobe Bryant. Everything was Kobe. Everything I grew up on was Kobe. Which in the same sense is the same thing as growing up with Mike. It really is. And when you really look down on it, when you break it down, and I completely unbiasedly will say that, like, Kobe to me is better than Mike just because of my bias of Kobe being my guy I grew up with. You know, I'm sure 90s kids will tell you that it's Jordan, and 2010s kids will tell you that it's Bron. And there's going to be kids telling you it's Luka from the 20s. And it's all about perspective. But growing up here, it's crazy, man. And I don't like telling. Chris Robinson knows how I be. We don't, you know, practice what we preach when it comes to complaining about things. But being here in the city and seeing a lot of friends I grew up with get killed, losing my pops, losing my ex-girlfriend, losing a bunch of homies just to gun violence and a bunch of crazy shit. At the end of the day, and this isn't me just blowing smoke up everybody's ass. At the end of the day, it's Kobe's mentality, and that Mamba mentality was so much bigger than basketball to me. So when I played baseball, when I played football, no matter what I was playing, I wasn't even a hooper like that. I mess around at the rec center, but I don't hoop like that. But baseball and football, I carried a basketball player's legacy into that, and I stayed with that. You know, instead of going to the street, instead of, you know, I don't know if y'all know, spinning the block for somebody that I lost, instead of doing something stupid that would detriment and ruin my future, you think of it like Kobe, and you think of it, your life is a business. Your life is everything, and you're going to continue to get better. So I think at the end of the day, it speaks volumes to far more than just basketball. And Freddie, like Freddie touched on, I'm huge with the WNBA. I'm huge with advocating for kids in gang-heavy neighborhoods and low-income neighborhoods, and especially young women in America, because I feel like they get lowballed in a lot of situations, especially Candace Parker, Chicago native. You know, the amount of money she's making right now is amazing, but the rest of the WNBA, that is a problem, because these women are athletes and they are not treated as such. And don't even get me started. I think Michael can speak on it next too. The refs that officiate for WNBA games get paid far less than NBA games. So it needs to be the same energy, needs to be reciprocated. And Kobe, to me, was going to do that. Gianna Bryant was going to do that. And I truly do believe, I don't care what nobody says, Kobe was going to coach whatever team that girl got drafted on. And that's truly what I believe. And it was going to sell seats. It was going to bring the WNBA more to ESPN, more than just a channel that you need to subscribe to have. This guy was doing things for people that he didn't have to do. And I'll say this time and time again, Michael Jordan is not the nicest guy by any means. He's a businessman, and he stays in his lane. Kobe was trying to give back to the community. Bron gives back to the community. And what Kobe was doing, the steps he was taking, was going to be something LeBron James hasn't even sniffed at doing. Is because this guy was going to put the WNBA on the map. He was going to do amazing things, and it's a tragedy. And like Ray, I don't like touching on the Gianna Bryant stuff because that's very touchy for me. I don't like talking about it. I think that is the worst part of. I think it's worse than Kobe passing. In all honesty, I think Kobe lived his life, and I feel like if Kobe, you know, if you could ask him today, you know, were you satisfied with the way it ended? You know, I think he lived his life, and he lived a life millions and billions of others can say they never lived. But Gianna Bryant never really got an opportunity to even live her life or find out who she was going to be. So I think that is the biggest tragedy of them all. And of course, the other young individuals that were on that helicopter.
And just to kind of add to that, Mike, I'll be honest. My wife can attest to this. Like, I haven't been the biggest women's sports fan.
Right. And that's fine.
You can call me whatever you want.
No, it's whatever you prefer, bro, at the end of the day, you know?
Right. But I think you really hit the nail on the head. And part of what changed my perspective was Kobe. Like,
right.
I didn't take
knowing he would be there, you know?
No, just his championing it. Like, right. As in a lot of cases, an equal league. Like, his involvement in it, that he took his time post-career to really, really advocate for it.
Right.
And to your point, since his passing, I believe a lot of steam has slowed on its momentum that it was building. They came out with the hoodies at right at that time, the orange hoodies, and I think that was trending, and it was kind of a moment. And I think because, and I love LeBron off the court, because someone like LeBron didn't take that mantle, I believe from a wider perspective, it's lost steam. Like, I know they've maybe expanded teams and the TV deals might be slightly better. But where I saw it going, I think it did take a hit. And I think it needed a Kobe. It needed a LeBron and Sabrina Ionescu, who got hurt, I believe, last year. Like, it needs that. Like, we've gotten past that they can dunk. But they needed that. And I think, to your point, Gigi would have been that. People would have paid to come see her play, regardless. Maybe it was because she was Kobe's kid, but by all accounts, she was good. Like, she was going to get the proper training. And that, to me, is a part that also really, really does suck, because I've seen that, at least from where I'm sitting, slow down to a certain extent. And I think they deserve better 100%. And hopefully somehow they can kind of galvanize that and get that going again. Comment, what you got for us?
Wow. Hey, Mike and Freddie and Ray, y'all did the damn thing. It was great. I'm going to bring it to a different perspective if I can. I had the pleasure of broadcasting games for the Boston Frenzy. Check this out. And Kobe's dad was the coach. Look it up. I'm sure y'all will. Look it up. And as you may or may not know, they did not have a good interaction at all. Kobe and his dad. And I, being a broadcaster, as I was, I got to know Joe Bryant, Kobe's dad. And to me, when I think about Kobe, I think about how they made amends and they got together. To me, being old school as I am, that meant more to me than all his accolades, because family's most important. And him and his dad, as you all know, or you don't know, they did not get along at all. Right. And for them to finally come to peace before he passed, to me, means the world to me. Kobe Bryant is my hero. He epitomizes what an NBA ball player should be and should try to be. That man, it was incredible. But I feel so much sadness about his passing and his daughter. And it's really, really tough, guys. I'm in tears right now. I'm sorry. But Kobe meant the world to me. And more importantly, it's more important that he got peace with his dad. To me, that's more important.
For sure.
Jonathan, what you got for us?
You know, for me, growing up, it was two players that I've admired and that I liked more than any of them. And that was, of course, Michael Jordan, me being a 90s kid. And secondly, Kobe Bryant. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the era where I saw both of these guys take over the game of basketball and pretty well. Do a pretty damn good job at playing the game of basketball. But as we all know, Kobe's legacy extends beyond the court. You know, what he did off the court was really impressive and just incredible to see. You know, he advocated for women's sports.
Yep.
You know, he was making a lot of moves, you know, off the court. And he was focused on a new life after basketball.
Yep.
And that was to make everyone else better off the court. And that's what stands out with me when you think about Kobe, is his legacy beyond basketball. And it was one hell of a legacy. I think he enriched his legacy after he retired from basketball because of all the great stuff he was doing off the court. And it made a tremendous impact in the community. It made a tremendous impact on children's lives, women's lives. You know, it just changed the whole entire world. And now that I do this podcasting with you guys, it's made me a stronger person because now I've adopted that Mamba mentality. And I use it every time I look into a camera and come on this show with you guys, because that Mamba mentality is real, it's contagious, and I think we've all learned from Kobe that we can be better, that we can pursue anything that we want in life, that we could be anything we want to be. And Kobe taught us all that. And that's something that we will always reflect on. That's something that we will always have with us. I remember the day he passed. I didn't want to believe it because I didn't think it was true. When I first heard the reports, I thought it was, I said, oh man, this is just a celebrity death hoax. It's nothing. And then when I heard that ESPN reported it, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Kobe Bean Bryant is dead? And I remember getting on my computer, typing an article, and I remember typing some of the sentences, and I was saying, Kobe's gone? What do you mean he's dead? Like, how do you process this? Is this can't be real? And I was struggling to process the whole situation that I started fighting back tears. And I have never in my life cried so hard over a man's death. Like I think that's the hardest I've cried since my dad passed away when I was 11 years old. And I think that's the hardest I've cried since Michael Jackson died, because he was another childhood idol of mine too. But anything besides that, I had never gotten so emotionally teared up. I had to compose myself. I was in tremendous shock because I couldn't believe one of my childhood legends was gone. And, I read the article. It's just a devastating, horrific, tragedy for a man who was, ahead of his time in a sense, because he was getting ready to do so much more. I know he was 41. He had accomplished so much, but Kobe was really about to do a lot more after basketball, and he was really about to change this whole world for the better.
Yep.
Because that's the kind of man he was, and that's the mindset that he had outside of basketball. So, I mean, we sit here today, we reflect on his legacy, we celebrate a legend, and we remember someone who touched all of our lives, especially all of us, because we were basketball fans. We are basketball fans and sports fans. Right. And we grew up watching Kobe, and we admired his game. And one of the memories I want to talk about, and there's a few that I have on the basketball court. One of them is when he scored 81 points against the Toronto Raptors. Another one was when he went into the Madison Square Garden and he put on the show. And then I have another one where he tore his ligament. I know you guys remember this. And this guy played. Now, how many players would have done that? Kobe was a fierce competitor that nothing could stand in his way. No injury, no illness, nothing. He would play through it. I remember when this guy played with apparently he had food poisoning, and he came back and played the game. Nothing stopped Kobe. Nothing held him back. He played no matter what. He was that fierce competitor. He was a loving husband, a girl dad, a true legend, an entrepreneur, a poet. I mean, this man did everything, and just, he had a dream, and he dreamed big, and he made it happen. And we miss you, Kobe. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Johnson. Thank you. That was great. Thank you. Wow.
And Chris, wrap us up, man. Take your time.
All right, man. I picked this topic, and we knew it was gonna be a hard one to talk about. Growing up, my favorite player is Tracy McGrady, and say that because he used to give Kobe some trouble, but Kobe was doing the same thing. So it's like you're watching basketball. It's like, dang, if you're not a Lakers fan, you cannot stand Kobe, but you can't stand him for the right reasons because he's that damn good. People got Jordan. I put Kobe above Jordan too, just like Mike said. I'm gonna tell you my favorite Kobe memory is I'm from Texas. Kobe put 62 on the Dallas Mavericks, 61. I don't think people really understand what that, like, Kobe had 62. The Mavericks, like, all of them had 61. Like that is crazy when you think about it, and that's just like an on the court moment, you know. And like we've been saying, off the court, Kobe just. It wasn't that he was changing the world. He has changed the world.
Right.
Just the simplest things. Like today, I was at work and I threw something away. What does everybody say? Kobe. Exactly. I mean, I didn't even think about, coming on a show tonight or anything. It's just a habit. Jonathan just brought up girl dad. Before, I mean, I'm not gonna say before Kobe, of course you're always happy to have a kid, but men are always want that little boy. You want the little boy. No, girl dad is where it is now because Kobe. He changed that. Like we said, he wanted to put the WNBA on the map. It's already there, but just a simple endorsement from Kobe. Kobe's at a game. Oh my gosh. Like we gotta watch this now. More viewers. It's gonna grow. Kobe won an Oscar. Like, just think about that. This man is an NBA champion, finals MVP, league MVP, Oscar winner. Nobody's gonna have that resume.
Yeah.
To me, man, like when he retired, like, he went out there, got 60 in the most Kobe way, it was the most Kobe thing you could do. Just go out there, you dominate, kick some ass, Mamba out. That's it. And like Jonathan said too, with the Mamba mentality thing, we use that every day in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything. Just as simple as like these conversations. We're striving to be better at podcasting. We're striving to be better at our jobs. We're just striving to be better at life. If we can leave like just 1/100 of what Kobe did, we had successful lives. That man has just changed the world for the better. There's never gonna be another Kobe Bean Bryant.
Yeah, I'm gonna add two things. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just remember like the day before, we found out about it. LeBron passed his scoring record in Philly. Where Kobe's from, and I was talking to it's an ex now, and I was like, why isn't Kobe there? Do you think he'd be there for that moment? His hometown. He's not. So the next morning, I had dental work done. I go to the pharmacy, pick up my medicine. I'm in line. I get a text. Kobe died. Damn, I'm high as hell. Anyway, I don't think nothing of it. Then more texts coming through. Did you hear about Kobe? Did you hear about Kobe? The hell kind of medicine am I on? Anyway, one of my buddies, he works at the store. He comes and finds me. Dude, Kobe died. I'm in Walmart. I cried. And like I didn't realize the impact Kobe had on me until that very moment. Like in public, we are two grown ass men crying over this man we have never met, never seen. But it's just, man, like, and then from then on, you start hearing like all the reports of Gigi. That makes it even worse because Gigi was going to be an MVP in the WNBA. Gigi was going to probably be the best WNBA player ever. And I forgot who said it, but yeah, Kobe was going to coach her team.
Yeah.
If he didn't coach it, he was going to own it. He was doing something. He was about to make the WNBA a huge phenomenon. And like I know here in the next few months, Mike and myself, we're going to do a WNBA show. And Kobe will definitely come up, in those talks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Freddie.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah. That was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, I remember, and then they said Rick Fox is on there as well. And I was like, oh man, not him. But then it was false advertising. But I just want to say this just to end it, man. Respect greatness while we can, I mean, we all come up here and talk shit about players.
Right.
But respect greatness. Chris Paul, Harden,
Yes.
Kevin Durant, LeBron.
Yep.
Respect them while these guys are here. Because,
Say it,
man,
Fred.
2 years ago, 2 years ago, if you would have
Say his
told me
name, Freddie.
Zach
Say
Levine,
double team, Freddie.
Russell Westbrook, respect all of them.
Thank you, sir.
Because
I
you never know.
oh,
And
man.
you know what,
never
Freddie? That's
know.
really what it is, man. Like I said, I think everybody, unless you're a Lakers fan, like you didn't like Kobe on the court. You just couldn't. That dude was just because he's gonna come rip your team's heart out.
Right. Dude, when D Rose would have to play Kobe, man, like God damn. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But I mean, if he's not playing your team, that dude's
I'm gonna tell
a freaking monster.
Hey, check this out. I don't know if you guys have put this to in thought. Ever since Kobe died, this world would have not been the same. Everything's been upside down.
That's fact.
Everything's been upside down.
True that. Yes. And Freddie,
I'm not saying
if I can say something,
control of the world. I'm not saying that at all.
Freddie, if I can say something,
It really just shows that the world was a worse place without Kobe. He made the world a better place.
And fellas, I'm so proud to be part of this crew because y'all are the bomb, and I can't wait to see where we end up going because I think we all are the bomb.
Amen.
Thank y'all.
I knew before we go, I knew the coach that was on the helicopter, the baseball coach that was on the helicopter with Kobe. Really nice guy. I covered not his team, but the team that he would go against. I covered that team, and I would talk to him on the field. Very nice, very open with the media. Loved talking to us reporters when we would come. Very nice guy. He was also lost in that tragedy too. And I believe his son played for the Oregon baseball team. The Oregon team did a huge tribute to him as well. So, I mean, he was well known throughout Orange County, a popular baseball coach.
Yeah.
His daughter was on the helicopter too, because I think his daughter played basketball with Gigi.
Right. I think they were on a trip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just Kobe and Gigi we lost. There was other.
Yeah, they were on a trip to
Coach John. Coach John was really nice. Really, really nice guy.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Let's not, we celebrate Kobe, Gigi, because who they are and they represent. But let's not forget the others as well. Much love to them. Prayers for their families as well. That's a sad night for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Just think, I hate thinking about this, bro, because I think about it all the time. And I know I shouldn't. But could you guys imagine what Kobe was doing when the helicopter was flipping? I could imagine him holding his daughter.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
His daughter,
have mercy.
Saying it is okay. Yep. You're with Dad. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
That's just the toughest thought. Going through a situation like that.
Just a terrible, terrible tragedy.
Yep.
Well, fellas, I definitely appreciate all of y'all sharing. I know we had a great show. Ended on a bit of a somber note, but I think it's great to reflect on, who we are, what we've been through, and who means something to us. I believe, as you all stated, this is a part of our lives. It's not something that just ended. We're going to continue to move forward and continue to grow. Shout out to Freddie for all that you're doing for us.
Absolutely,
giving
yes.
us this opportunity. Playing hurt today, as Kobe would do. And just, coming through with the vision and fighting for that. So in closing, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. We are getting to the All-Star game quickly. And so after that, we can stop having all these Lakers excuses because it'll be after the All-Star game. So hopefully we can start.
No, there'll still be excuses.
Oh,
man.
no,
Wait till
no,
the playoffs.
no. Hold up.
Till the season ends.
Oh, okay. Well, wait till next season ends.
Until their season ends.
Lakers fans becoming Cowboys fans, aren't they?
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
You must be feeling good, bro. My voice would be where it's at to put you in your place.
Freddie reminds me of Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper became a TV analyst for our pregame show on ABC 7. And the Lakers could be down 0-4, 0-3 in the series, excuse me. and he'll believe they'll come all the way back and win the game series.
Hey, Mike. Hey, John, I'm gonna tell you a
That's what
story about.
Freddie sounds
Hey,
like.
hey, John, I'm gonna tell you a story about Michael Cooper. My mom and my grandmother, when he was little, used to stay in California. They stayed in front of the Forum. My grandmother, well, Michael Cooper tried to talk to my grandmother. She tried to date her, and she turned him off. Turned him down.
Michael Cooper is so biased. It's unbelievable. He was a
Can
bad
y'all
man.
imagine they would have hooked up, bro, where ASAP would be at and say, "Hey, Grandpa, I need some money to fund this." I'm like, man.
Absolutely. Well, y'all have a good evening. Let's enjoy the weekend. A lot of sports this weekend, and we will reconnect next Friday at 10 Eastern, 9 Central. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Hey, tune in the morning. Special edition. ASAP
Freddie,
in the
shut
morning.
up.
Got some special guests on there, special people on there tomorrow. So make sure you tune in.
Man, you